How did a trading company manage to conquer an entire subcontinent? The story of India's struggle for independence is a tale of courage, betrayal, and resilience. Welcome back to Tales of History, and join us as we journey through time, starting with the East India Company's rise to power, the crucial battles that shaped India's destiny, and the seeds of nationalism that eventually led to independence. In the early 17th century, India was a land of immense wealth and diversity, attracting traders from across the world. Among them was the East India Company, a British trading enterprise granted a royal charter by Queen Elizabeth I in 1600. Initially, their goal was simple: trade spices, silk, and other goods with the Mughal Empire and regional kingdoms. But trade soon turned into control. One of the company's early strategies was to secure trading rights by forming alliances with local rulers. They often paid hefty tributes and offered military support to gain favor. However, as the Mughal Empire began to weaken in the early 18th century, the company saw an opportunity to expand its influence. After the death of Emperor Aurangzeb in 1707, the Mughal Empire fragmented into smaller, often competing states. This power vacuum allowed the East India Company to manipulate regional politics to their advantage. They began to play one ruler against another, offering military assistance in exchange for land or political influence. The turning point came with the Battle of Plassey in 1757. Robert Clive, also known as Clive of India, was a British military officer and colonial administrator who played a key role in establishing British control over India. While Robert Clive's victory is well known, what is less commonly mentioned is how deeply the company had infiltrated Bengal's political scene before the battle. Clive had made secret agreements with multiple court officials, including Jagat Seth, a powerful banker, to ensure Siraj-ud-Dowlah's defeat. The battle itself was almost a formality, as Mir Jafar, who had been promised the Nawab's throne, withheld his troops at a critical moment, leading to a swift British victory. After Plassey, the company didn't just seize power. They set up a puppet regime, with Mir Jafar as the Nawab of Bengal. However, when Mir Jafar proved too independent for the company's liking, they replaced him with his son-in-law, Mir Qasim. This pattern of installing and deposing rulers became a hallmark of the company's strategy across India. By the time of the Battle of Buxar in 1764, the company had established itself as the dominant power in Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa, collecting revenue directly from the people and financing further expansion. After the Battle of Buxar, the East India Company implemented a dual system of government in Bengal, where they controlled the revenues, but the Nawab was still responsible for maintaining law and order. This system allowed the company to benefit financially without being directly accountable to the people, leading to widespread corruption and economic exploitation. By the early 19th century, the East India Company controlled vast territories across India, including major regions like Bengal, Madras, and Bombay. The company's revenue grew exponentially, allowing them to maintain a private army that was larger than the British Army itself. But their expansion wasn't without resistance. Local rulers, tribal leaders, and common people rose up against the company's policies, setting the stage for a nationwide revolt. The Revolt of 1857, often referred to as the First War of Indian Independence, was a watershed moment in Indian history. The immediate trigger was the introduction of the new Enfield rifle, which used cartridges rumored to be greased with cow and pig fat, which was an affront to both Hindu and Muslim soldiers. But the roots of the revolt ran much deeper, into years of resentment against the East India Company's policies. Indian soldiers, or sepoys, were treated with disdain, paid less than their British counterparts, and often forced to serve far from their homes. The company's annexation policies, like the doctrine of lapse, further fueled anger. This doctrine allowed the British to annex any princely state where the ruler died without a direct male heir, which led to the loss of sovereignty for several kingdoms, including Jhansi and Awadh. The revolt began in Meerut in May 1857, where Indian soldiers mutinied, killed their British officers, and marched to Delhi. There, they declared the aging Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar as the symbolic leader of the uprising. Although he was declared the leader of the revolt, Bahadur Shah Zafar was initially reluctant to take on the role. However, once he was drawn into the rebellion, he became a unifying figure for the diverse groups participating in the uprising. The revolt quickly spread across northern and central India, with key leaders like Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi, Tantia Tope, and Nana Sahib leading the charge. Despite early successes, the revolt faced significant challenges. The rebels lacked a unified command and were often divided by regional and personal interests. The British, on the other hand, were quick to respond with brutal force. The siege of Delhi lasted for several months, and when the city finally fell in September 1857, the British exacted a terrible revenge, massacring thousands of civilians and soldiers alike. Not all princely states supported the rebellion. Many rulers, including the Nizam of Hyderabad and the Maharaja of Kashmir, remained loyal to the British, either out of fear or self-interest. This lack of widespread support was one of the factors that contributed to the revolt's failure. The British response to the revolt was merciless. In addition to military action, they implemented collective punishment on entire villages, executed rebels publicly, and even used blowing from a gun as a method of execution, where captured rebels were tied to the mouth of cannons and blown apart. Rani Lakshmibai, one of the most iconic figures of the revolt, led her troops in several battles against the British. She was known for her bravery, especially during the siege of her kingdom, and later at the Battle of Gwalior, where she reportedly fought until the end, dressed as a man to lead her troops. Her death was a significant blow to the rebellion. Tantia Tope, another key leader, continued to fight even after the fall of Jhansi. He adopted guerrilla tactics, moving his forces quickly and unpredictably across central India. Though he managed to evade capture for a while, he was eventually betrayed, captured, and executed in April 1859. The revolt of 1857 was ultimately crushed, but it had a profound impact on British rule in India. The British Crown dissolved the East India Company, taking direct control of India. Queen Victoria promised to respect the rights of Indian princes and to involve Indians in the governance of their country. But in reality, British control tightened. The revolt also marked the beginning of the end for the Mughal Empire, as Bahadur Shah Zafar was exiled to Burma, where he died in obscurity. The revolt of 1857 was not just a rebellion, it was a statement. It was the first large-scale and unified expression of resistance against British rule, setting the stage for the long and arduous journey toward independence. The sacrifices made by countless Indians during this time would not be forgotten, and their legacy would inspire future generations to continue the fight for freedom. Thank you for joining us in exploring India's initial years of struggle for independence. Stay tuned for part 2 of this series to know how India finally achieved independence. If you found this video informative, please subscribe to our channel. Also, please like and share our videos. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified when we upload our videos. See you in the next one.